exciting.
It is.
Getting
it is,
to
isn't
speak.
it?
Yeah, I know. I almost feel like when we first started this, there wasn't even this sort of technology.
Nah.
You know?
The world has changed, hasn't it, Karen, since we embarked on our little project. When I started it, it became, I was a brand newbie into my human resource role, and it became really evident really quickly that our people were doing the type of work that just had to eat away at you after a while. You just simply couldn't listen to people's stories and not be affected by them over a period of time. And so in its simplest form, the notion that psychological injury could be such a high risk to us was almost a no-brainer. And so it started simply as an early intervention initiative to make sure that we didn't that we could build resilience in our people so that they weren't able to or didn't need to to access things like effectively workers' compensation for stress-related injuries when we wanted to build their resilience, not to need to do that, and to know how to access services before, early, and so know how to recognise their own early warning signs and know how to then access services so that we could prevent that sort of thing. What was really interesting was that alongside that, it was also really evident that we couldn't just very quickly and simply run a bit of a training day and then walk away from that and clap our hands and think, well, that job's done. It needed a different approach. It needed an approach that for sustainability, I suppose, that made sure that what we did today we would still be doing in 5 years' time, 10 years' time, as it turns out, and that it was as much as possible equally as valuable. So that's how that multi-layered approach grew, and that's why it was really important early on to collaborate with someone like yourself who had been there and done it, who knew exactly what it was like to do the sort of work that our people are doing, and understood, by virtue of your qualifications and experience, understood what the need was from us, understood how we needed to build that resilience, and understood how we could approach that from a behavioural perspective as well, I think, which was really important.
And it was lovely how we kind of came together and met, and I had a bit of a passion for the work you do, having worked in it myself. And I think, for a lot of organisations, they probably have partnerships out there already with their employee assistance programs, or they have maybe rehab providers that they could do something similar with, that they could. But I think that multi-layered approach is one of the things that really did that preventative stuff, isn't it? It kept the eyes on the ground.
We took a people approach. So policy, procedures, systems, they're all incredibly important. But if you haven't got a culture of psychological safety in the workplace, then I think that all of the processes and all of the written documents under the sun aren't going to work. We took an approach that said it's a really safe thing for you to be able to come to your line manager, or for you to be able to go to a wellbeing ambassador and actually talk to us about something that you might be dealing with in your life, whether it's your work life, your personal life. We took a holistic approach to saying we care about you, and we were able to develop a level of trust, I think, where people understood that that was actually the case.
But I think then identifying those wellbeing ambassadors, as they are in this project, and I think many organisations would relate to the fact of having a staff support or a staff contact type officer now. I'm not so sure when you came up, and approached me that was necessarily happening as much. But it was that having that other layer, wasn't it? And teaching them not just how to be resilient in themselves and to activate, but how to do that in a way that is responding to mental health, like a mental health first aid aspect, but also how to support someone who's come to you, who's actually managing that with their colleague. But then that other tier that I think is really unique that happened here is there was also the teeth in this role to be able to advocate and have a place at the table with management, and to sit down and say, these are the things that we've noticed bubbling up. These are the things that are coming to us. These are the things culturally we need to take a front-footed approach to. And it seems to me like that was the real innovative work that you did in having a preventative strategy for psychological wellbeing issues.
I think what it's done is sustain the level of trust and currency that we have in the relationship with our people. And so early on, when we first implemented the Wellbeing Ambassador role, it had a pretty simple approach. When I reflect on it now, it wasn't at the time, it was groundbreaking, but now I reflect on it and think that we took a fairly simple approach that sort of said, here's a person who has some additional skills to be able to support you in the event that you're not travelling so well and you're perhaps not sure where to go. This role is in place to help put you on the path of how we can assist you to get better. Down the track, I think day to day, less of that occurs, but what does occur though is that we continue to regularly meet, we continue to raise awareness and talk about the Wellbeing Ambassador initiative. And what that does, I think, it's maintained the level of trust that we have from our people and the currency we have in our relationships, so that when we say we need to implement change quickly around their safety and wellbeing, we get a really, really high level of uptake. We get a really, really high and immediate level of engagement. During the pandemic, for example, we had to make some really sweeping changes very quickly, and people they just complied. We've rarely had any level of resistance over any of our initiatives when it's been for the safety and wellbeing of our people. And I really believe that it's because we've created this environment of trust and psychological safety through the initiative of Wellbeing Ambassadors that's how we've got through that.